The October lull is a myth. It's not real. At least not in the form that so many hunters believe. There's not a decrease in deer activity right now. In fact, studies have shown there's actually an increase, a steady increase throughout the month of October until the rut, the breeding period, really starts to begin. So if there's this increase in activity, why is there this misconception about an October lull? Well, it's because there is a transition. There is a change in what the deer are doing, and for a lot of guys that means a pretty serious reduction in the amount of deer that they see. If you're not seeing deer, you assume they're not moving or they're all nocturnal. There is a fair amount of nocturnal activity happening, but most of that nocturnal activity is happening in the areas where the deer don't feel safe, which also happens to be the areas where a lot of hunters are focusing right now. I'm starting to hear a lot of guys talk about the October lull, and to me that's my signal. That tells me, all right, it's time. Because the October lull isn't a decrease in movement. We've already said that there's actually documented studies, several of them, that show there's an increase in movement steadily right up through November until the rut begins and it starts to peak. But there is a major transition in where those deer are moving and how they're moving. If there's any secret to what I do or what the Antler Geeks do to find and hunt older bucks in places where not very many of them exist, it's this. It's what I'm going to show you today. The lull is my prime time. So obviously you can hear my four-wheeler in the background. I don't turn it off when I'm out here scouting or checking cameras, and that's what I'm doing. Now, I said that the lull is my prime time, and what I mean by that is it's this next 7 to 10 day period when it's going to define where I hunt, how I hunt, and what deer I'm hunting. And if you just got to kind of put yourself in the deer's kind of hooves for a moment. Starting roughly around the 1st of September, these deer started to see, hear, and smell more people. As people, all summer the deer were left alone. They were feeding in these bean fields. You could come out here in the evenings and see them pretty much any evening that you wanted to. But then, as September hit, guys started to get ready for bow season. They started coming in and hanging their tree stands. Now, there's quite a few other people that can hunt right in this area. So I don't have any control over who's in here, who's not. It doesn't matter if I did everything right. Other hunters might not have. And I know they came in and put tree stands because I found them. Well, they did that prior to October 1st. So these deer started to feel this pressure in September. And then as October 1st hit, when bow season starts here in Michigan, that pressure went way up. I've been monitoring this place and the other places that I hunt since the 1st of October, and there's been someone hunting here almost every day. That's intense hunting pressure. The deer have responded. You can't go by here in the evenings anymore and see the deer in the fields. Part of it's because the beans have turned brown, but in areas where the deer aren't getting hunted, they're coming back into these beans. They're not doing it here because of the hunting pressure. I have to find what bucks have moved where, and I'm going to do that with trail cameras, and I'm going to do it in two ways. I have to find where these bucks went to. But how am I going to find these bucks without intruding into the areas that they retreated to feel safe? I'm not. I'm going to use my cameras on the places where they don't feel safe. But I'm going to do it in a manner where I know the photos I'm going to get are probably at night. And I'm going to set them up in a manner where I'm predicting the travel patterns they're using to get there at night. And that's the ticket. I also have to do this with without other hunters knowing what I'm doing. Now, mock scrapes can be super effective, but I can't use mock scrapes here because as soon as I make a scrape and hang a camera over it, somebody's going to start hunting it. I know that because it's happened several times in the past. I don't know what it is about tree stands or scrapes or some, trail cameras that people didn't put up, but they're like magnets. They flock to them and they use them. So I'm going to use corn. But I also have to put that corn, just like a mock scrape, in a place that's easy for me to get into because I'm going to drive the four-wheeler right to it and check it and leave it running so that these deer know I'm here because they're used to farming activity and people, and I'm not trying to hide. So I think it impacts the deer much less. So I got to put the corn in a spot where I can get to it fast. But same thing, if I put out a pile of corn, somebody else is going to hunt it. So how do I do it? Well, I'll go show you. Let's go. So what I'm looking for here is just basic needs. Food, cover, water. Now water's not a problem. There's just water everywhere, so that's not a deciding factor. The primary deciding factor right now is cover. Where did these bucks go to escape the hunting pressure? Now they're still going to come up front to feed on all these soybeans, but they're also going to want to feed on something a little bit closer to this cover that they've chosen. And in my experience, when the pressure gets on, these deer go to the thick stuff, they go to the out of the way stuff, the overlooked areas. And there's not very many of them, which makes my job a little bit easier because I don't have a lot of places to focus on. At the same time, it's like, just riding that edge all the time. If I mess up one spot, I don't have a lot to fall back on. We have a tremendous mass crop this year. Acorns are everywhere. That makes it good because a lot of the oaks are nearer to that cover. And it's harder to see if the deer are really feeding on them when you have so many acorns. But you can put trail cameras over those acorns and find that out. The problem is if you're doing it next to that cover, then you're doing what everybody else has done. You're adding pressure into those safe areas, and I won't do it. So along this edge of this bean field, I do have a bunch of acorns, but I want to put the camera in one specific spot that I can hide it from other hunters. And to do that, to get the deer there, I want to use corn. So I need to hide the corn. And I'm going to use flavored, scented corn that some buddies and I kind of discovered a few years ago. We started, making some kind of as a hobby business, and this stuff, it really works. And the key to it is it brings them in fast. So they're going to find it more quickly than regular corn. Whether they like the taste or not, I don't know. I haven't asked them. But I know that the smell makes them find it much faster. Now in Michigan, we have a 2-gallon limit, meaning you can only put out 2 gallons of bait at a time, and it has to be spread over an area, which is fine because I'm not hunting over it. If I was going to hunt over it, again, I'd be doing exactly what everybody else is doing. The bait is not going to be as effective in the areas I want to put it. I need to get back in the cover, and I'm not going to haul bait back in there just because it's too much work and hassle for what I need to do when I have limited time. So I want to put the bait where I want to put the camera. The other benefit of this corn is it does have some coloring to it so that it blends in a little bit, but I'm also going to hide the corn and make it harder for those other guys to see. So we've got corn that they'll find faster than regular corn, which means they're going to eat it faster. We use small amounts so it's gone, disappears, and when we're using a type of corn that's harder to see. Is there a chance somebody will stumble across it? Absolutely. It's happened several times. It's happened once this season already. But I'm trying to tip the odds in my favor. I can't penetrate into this cover, or I'm just defeating the purpose. My stands are already in place there because I know from previous years where I want to be. Now I just need to find out if the buck that I want to hunt is there. Where's this home right now? And that's where I'm going to hunt. That's where the cameras come in, and that's why this next 10 days is so critical. Because if I don't get a buck on camera, I don't have anything to hunt. Alright, I got back to the truck so I can shut the four-wheeler off, so we don't have that background noise, but fairly productive time. I was in and out in a little under an hour. Obviously never shut the four-wheeler off. It's so critical to not add pressure to the areas that you think the deer might have escaped to, because that's what the October lull is, in my opinion. It's a transition where, yes, there is some natural nocturnal tendencies by those deer for sure, but it's more than that. It's a transition in food sources. The soybeans, if you have soybeans in your area, they've browned up. The deer are probably not using them quite as heavily. The corn is in a different stage, using that for cover as well as food now. Heavy mast, they're going to be on those acorns probably more often than not. But if you add into that X factor of the hunting pressure, especially in areas where the deer get hammered every year, they have zero tolerance. They will change, older bucks especially, they will change where they live. And they will move off to pockets that they lived in the past. They didn't get to be 3 and 4 years old without having some place they escaped to. Those are the places I try to hunt. And I can't hunt them until the deer are in there, because they're not in there until the pressure moves them in there. You can do this same thing on public land. Obviously you can't use a four-wheeler in most places, but put your cameras, if baiting is legal, there's no reason not to use it. It's a way to get those photos. Just don't expect to be hunting over it, because someone's probably going to find it and hunt over it. But put your camera in a place you can check easily, that you know is already compromised by other hunters, because the photos you get at night still tell you information. They tell you that deer is coming there from somewhere else. Public land, I would get closer to the areas I want to hunt than I will on any private, because the deer are probably going to move a little bit less. But same principle applies. Don't go in those areas where you want to hunt. Scout the perimeter, the edges. Take into account what the other guys are doing and let them move the deer to you. Whether you believe it's real or not, whether you think my theory is true or not, this is the time period where you have to start making some decisions and getting yourself into position, because the bucks are going to start moving a little bit more. In my area, just because the rut is on, they're not going to come back into these areas where all these other hunters are very often, if ever. They're still going to stick to their core areas. They're still going to stick to those places they feel safe. My job is to find a buck, figure out a safe place, and kill him.